Okay, before I get to this, I just wanted to say, in further response to your bullshit last night, of course I know Marjorie doesn't respond, doesn't even look at her comments. What, you think I'm delusional enough to think she cares about anything I fucking say? Sure, I take verbal jabs at her for her bullshit and tell her that she's this and that. Never insults, although sometimes name calling, but all that's just to trigger you motherfuckers. And it does. I mean, how long have you been fucking with me, or trying to fuck with me? Months since the fall? But she's too self-absorbed. She's too inflated in her own status to give a fuck what I or anybody else says. What, you think I'm delusional enough to think that she gives a fuck about anything I say? She doesn't even give a fuck about anything you say as her supporter. You're the one that's fucking delusional. No, my replies to her posts are intended to get the attention of psychopaths like you, her many supporters, who don't listen to facts or reason. Nothing. You guys have your own lines of bullshit. I know that, but it's all to trigger you guys, and it works. You have been going at this for, what, since the fall, I think? Months. And you think you have me in some way. First, I asked you the questions, which is what I do, and then you play this silly game of you saying that, oh, you asked me first. But, well, this isn't about ego. This is not about this is not about dominance. So I'll give in to your desperation, which is what I'm doing here. So let's get to this now. Okay. Yeah, okay, so Donald was definitely irresponsible to not immediately fire Michael, having been previously warned by the Justice Department. The Democrats told Donald to fire Michael while Nancy Pelosi was understanding of the gravity of the situation. Okay, Michael being blackmailed by Russia was mentioned, but nothing was explained. He was quick to fire Sally Yates for simply refusing to defend his travel ban. So why does Michael get a pass? Not really. This isn't really, well, you asked how the travel ban was unconstitutional. Now, I haven't bothered with this book for about 4 years because nobody's bought it and nobody's ever commented on it to engage in discussion with me. So I can't even remember what the hell I wrote. Now, you're going to use that against me, obviously, but whatever. I don't give a fuck what you have to say. Now, again, before I go any further, I don't think it ever was explained, even by James Robart or anybody else in the course system who has just kept on rejecting this travel ban, which was only temporary. I looked it up last night, and apparently it's because this travel ban is specifically against the religion of Islam, which would fall under the category of discrimination, religious discrimination, because it's against the 7 Islamic countries. So basically he's blocking all of them, even people who have nothing to do with anything, just regular Muslims. So with that said, travel ban. Okay. Yeah. This article has a link for Donald's travel ban article embedded. Is the ban the reason for Iran's ballistic missile testing? If so, Donald is the cause for this because that order is unconstitutional. Well, not really much point in covering it all in my book, but other than to point out just how unreasonable Donald is neither him or the court ever got to the bottom of that. Even if the travel ban was constitutional all along and the court system was wrong, Donald still didn't even ask the court what the problem. Neither parties got to the bottom of the matter. Donald just kept on whining and the court system just kept on rejecting. And we're talking about the political system and the legal system here. Donald was president of the fucking country at the time. What does that say about him? He doesn't know not to ask? I even point that out in some point here. Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah. If so, Donald is the cause for this, because that order is and is also not the solution, which has now aggravated an unstable country. And this is why Donald included them in a list of countries on that ban. An order which, despite the internal skepticism, the American court judges and whomever else, Donald refuses to admit he's wrong and back down. So he not only doesn't ask the court why, but he also just refuses to back down. Completely fucking irrational on both sides, on both of those counts. So next up. Clicking on this video, Donald declared that this deal is the worst and is also an embarrassment to America. Yet Donald's travel ban order was a good idea. America needs to get tougher when Donald's response to terrorism is this unconstitutional executive order that was obviously just intensified the problem. Okay, if these missiles are Iran's reciprocal measure to Donald's travel ban, how does a temporary ban justify destruction? So, yeah, he's causing a lot of problems here. Yeah, so it's okay. The travel ban for the 7 terrorist countries controversy. Yeah, so basically he's saying that the entire every citizen of the country is a terrorist, which is wrong. That's a generalization fallacy. That's why the travel ban is unconstitutional. The Constitution protects religious rights for all religions. How can the Department of Justice agree with Donald's temporary travel ban if it's been declared unconstitutional and is also protested against? Donald declares victory for the country, but for what? The travel ban makes no sense anyway. The travel ban affects people who have nothing to do with terrorism. See, I even said it. While the terrorist violence is separate from the religion. Even if the religion promotes the violence, the reality is that not all Muslims are violent for terrorists. While there are also there's also non-Muslims in those citizens in those countries. This isn't even a matter of winning, but of solving the terrorism problem. Donald's erroneous attitude is a part of the problem. He's stubborn and he's being defensive. Donald also accused this judge of opening the country up to terrorists when he was simply providing a stay. Yeah, I remember that. The judge was opening to provide a stay because this order is ridiculous and caused additional problems. Donald didn't even call for an evacuation before any action was taken, so many people were stranded. I remember that too, with canceled visas. And you have the nerve to ask me for months now how the travel ban is unconstitutional. That's what you're doing. That's what you've been doing. Another guy told me that the Republican Party is all about the Constitution. Yeah, sure. Okay. The travel ban conflict carries on. I think the problem here is nobody sat Donald down and asked him what part of the travel ban executive order is unconstitutional. He doesn't understand. See, knowing more about Donald years later, I don't think he really even gives a fuck, even if he was explained to. I don't think, even if I or somebody else with my mentality asked him how he thinks the travel ban is constitutional, I don't think he'd get a valid answer. He wouldn't answer. He evades that. He's just like you. He evades. Although you're special because after I ask the questions, you not only evade, but then tell me to answer your questions. You turn the table around on me. Okay, Executive Order 13769, protecting the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. was revisited by the Supreme Court, which means this order is a little excessive. Excessive to the point that some major parts of it are contradictory to the American Constitution, and those parts are needed to be restrained. To play the devil's advocate, this order may be unconstitutional in some major parts, but Donald is acting on an extreme case here. ISIS has become the worst form of religious extremism that the world has ever seen, and it's not like the nonviolent Muslims are even trying to do anything about the radical ones. I'll clarify that I don't agree with this ban. I simply understand it on that level. So it doesn't really say anything about that. Well, reading about it, I looked up why it's actually unconstitutional, as I never originally said that. The courts did, as you insist on trying to use that against me because you're a fucking jackass troll. I'll close this by saying that even if I was wrong about this, as you spent months trying to get me to, just nagging me to answer this fucking question, this silly question. This wasn't my claim, as I've repeatedly told you throughout the months that you've been bugging me about this. And if you have a problem with it, take it up with the fucking courts who have been telling Donald it's unconstitutional. Are you fucking happy now, jackass?